Can you hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Huh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yep. I can hear
Okay.
you now.
All right. All
There
right.
we go.
I didn't want to go through that again.
Man. Oh, so apparently we're pushing the Dillon Brooks narrative.
Not me. Not this guy.
At C. Watson 23.
Nope.
Please stop trying to push this. We don't need another
Nope.
inefficient shooting guard or the attitude. I just was like, hey, guy, I'm not trying to push anything. It's just literally a question. You know what I mean?
And I
Come
literally
on,
said,
man.
I said before anybody asks, before this even becomes a thing, no, let's not even do it before it becomes a thing.
I think I wrote you into it, and now we got to deal with it.
Hey, whatever.
Dillon Brooks season, right?
We just suit up and just go. That's it.
But look, man, there's music playing in my head at least.
Hey, let's go. Let's go. Let's go with it.
Let me stop before people say that I'm actually sitting here pushing for the Dillon Brooks Express in Detroit. But hey, let's get this thing rolling, man. I'm happy to be here this morning. I'm happy to be here with Rod Beard as well. In the studio this morning. We got some things planned. Let's get it going, man. Thank you all for being here. My name is Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, and you're rocking out with the Woodward Pistons podcast on the Woodward Sports Network. Mr. Jeff Freddy, Mr. Everything. He is on the Morning Woodward Show at this moment. We got some content planned for you all coming a little bit later. And hey, look, right now, we got to get this drum roll going. You guys already know what time it is. So let's go for the legend. Hey, yo! Shout out to the legend, Detroit News, Rod Beard. Brother, as always, welcome to the show. And how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing a little bit better than Dillon Brooks, so I think we all are. Well, maybe not, because he's got a bag already. But Canadians, man, Canadians. Is he the most disrespectful Canadian you can think of?
It's like you wouldn't even believe that he came from there. You know what I'm saying? Like their police don't even have like guns, right? That's what I hear, or something like that. I don't understand how he fell so far from the tree. I don't get it.
Hey,
I don't get it. About halfway through the season, man, I was almost falling for the hype, man. I was seeing all the videos. I was seeing people make all the little hype videos on social media talking about, yo, I'm starting to like, bro. I was really like, you know what, man? Maybe he has a little bit of that. I almost said like Pistons swag. I couldn't bring myself there completely. I was like, yo, let's see this in the playoffs. This team been talking big. They've been talking tough. He's been kind of the energy behind it. We know that John Morant and there's Jaren Jackson Jr. and some fine players there, but Dillon Brooks of it all, man, found a way to make himself the center of attention. And look, I went on ahead and made a graphic yesterday and pulled you right into the middle of this. And I just asked the people, like, hey, look, should he be a free agent target? Despite the playoff flameout, he showed some things. He might have some defensive chops, but obviously when the pressure was there, he was not the player that we thought he was. And I don't know why this got 22,000 views, bro. I have no idea why. And the comments are ablaze. I think you can imagine. There's every type of GIF you could think of, man. All of them. And they're all saying no. So is there any pro to Dillon Brooks?
So can you even imagine Cade and Dillon Brooks on the same court? Like, that's an instant fight. That is a fight. Do you know how many times Isaiah Stewart and Dillon Brooks would be scrapping in practice? This would be
bro, beef stew and Dillon Brooks, man. Come on.
Gee, do you even I can't even see Troy picking up the phone to be like, what's up?
All of them, bro.
And because we're talking about it, it's gonna happen. But it's like, where to even begin with Dillon Brooks? And is he a bigger Pat Bev? Is what I'm trying to find a comp.
Oh man,
of not even on a skill level, but just the kind of instigator and
Pat. I like Pat Beverly, man. But I feel
Pat
what you
Bev,
mean.
right? Pat Bev will get into you defensively where you just can't do anything. And so is he Lance Stevenson?
No. This you know what, Rod, you're a freaking brilliant mind, bro. Because you signed a Dillon Brooks for that type of role. Lance, when did Lance make his noise? The playoffs.
Right, but if you have a guy and you're the Pistons and you're trying to make that next step into the playoffs, I can see a world. I can see a part of the multiverse where you say he's a 1-year deal guy, and if he blows up, then we cut bait. What did he make? What kind of contract is he on? I'll entertain this for a minute. 11-4.
Can he be modern day Lance Stevenson? That instigator that actually makes a difference on the court to some degree.
He was on a 3-35. I can't do it.
Nope.
I can't do it. I can't.
I asked Rod, are there any pros? He tried to be a professional. He really tried. We tried.
So here's the thing. I won't go as far as to say under any circumstances. I won't say that. And that's Shams adding a little sauce to the situation. But I'm not giving him 11 or 12 mil. That's the starting point. We can't even do 11 or 12. We're gonna have to do some kind of single digit something.
Yeah. Even on those, usually on those single year deals, is either the person's going to get overpaid or that person's going to get underpaid or that person's going to, it's never really in all these contracts where you think your value is compensatory. Like, and with the Dillon Brooks, when your previous team is saying, hey, like before the playoffs even ended, word on the street was like, hey, yeah, thank you, but no thank you.
No.
We don't need that. It's just like that value. I don't know. I wouldn't want to give him anywhere over no 7 or 8. We were talking about what we would give Killian. Would you pay Dillon Brooks more than you would pay Killian?
Yes, only because it's a position of need. It is a particular position of need. So let me jump outside myself.
He's a professional, people.
And let me channel Troy Weaver. Let me channel my inner Troy Weaver. I'll give Dillon Brooks a 1-year prove-it deal for 8 because Troy believes in reclamation projects. If he can be the Dillon Brooks whisperer and say, you got one shot, bro. You got exactly one shot. And that's it. And maybe that 8 becomes a 6 because he can't fit anywhere else. If Troy just kind of sits and chills in the cut for a minute and lets him sit around and Dillon Brooks has no better offers and you can get him for 6, it's such a fragile chemistry that you're messing with.
Ooh.
And we talked about small forward. You know what? This doesn't even matter because they're going to get Vic in their small forward.
There we go.
This isn't even a conversation.
Sick for Vic.
Right.
TM, Rod Beard.
I mean,
it's look, man, you bring up some valid points because we talked about the squad needing those kind of rough and tough, those kind of above the edge mental players that can help this team from just that standpoint. We talked about Patrick Beverley. We've brought him up on this show a lot. When we talk about certain free agency pickups or certain guys we think can inject or help this identity of the team. And if we're going to be fair to Dillon Brooks, no matter how good we've seen Ja Morant be, with some of the off-court noise that could have honestly swallowed up the Grizzlies, Dillon Brooks, realistically, in terms of what he brought, in terms of as an instigator against the other teams, but also, you know what? Let me absorb all of this. Let me absorb all the noise. That was something I think that he did really, really good for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he made everyone have to look. He made everybody have to pay attention. Now, look, are you gonna watch Ja Morant? Yeah, but we know how we do in the NBA. We'll catch the highlights. We'll go and we'll look at like what he did that night. If it's a big game, yeah. Dillon Brooks kind of made them let's watch and see what this dude's gonna do. Now, if he continued this throughout the playoffs, cool. And I believe like when you meet up against LeBron James more than anything, it's a little hard to realistically judge anything about that player. This
Mhm.
to me, in terms of, I know a lot of people are like, it's just Dillon Brooks. For me, I've seen LeBron James in a lot of different situations over the years. That was just, I don't know if you want to call it the most funny, the most impressive. I don't know. It was just a cool kind of, at the end of your career type performance to have against a guy who realistically was mouthing off, was getting above his britches a little bit, man. But I don't know. He brought some type of equality to them. He did bring some type of identity, but I just, ooh, man, that's a tough one because it
I can't
absolutely flamed
do
out,
it.
bro.
I can't do so. I'm just trying to do it from a fit and a culture perspective.
Yeah.
But the numbers, if he's and people said this on Twitter as well, if he's going to be a 3-and-D guy, you have to
Mm,
average more than 3 rebounds if you're 6'7". And I get it. You got Steven out Adams on the team, and you got 3J on your team. You're not going to get a lot of rebounds there, but you're 6'7", bro. You got to get some rebounds. And in this Lakers series, to average 10 and a half, and you're talking, I think there's just a know who you are and know what the situation is. Don't say anything about Brian.
preach.
Don't say anything. Don't say hello. That's all you get. What's up, Brian? Respect. That's it. Keep it moving. You can't.
Heck of a
You.
career, bro.
It's not even about poking that bear. You put that bear in a headlock and like smeared honey all over your body. Like what are we doing? And somebody should have just told him, bro, shut up. This is not what we need right now. Because
Because,
if go
bro,
ahead.
no, because you're right. Because even the other guys on the team, think about how much LeBron James is helping these guys. Think about the fact that these guys are soldiers, going to war type guys. And we all know that there's a limit that we can reach where we're tapped out, and then there's a limit that you can push us beyond. And honestly, Dillon Brooks' mouth seemed to wake up a lot of people in that squad that people thought were probably not that good of players, maybe not at not at the same skill level, or they're gonna flame out in the playoffs. All of a sudden,
Yep.
LeBron James is like, bro, I was really trying to, pace myself through these playoffs. Let's
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Let's get it. It wasn't all out this world LeBron, but it was almost as if he knew, like LeBron, when those old Cleveland teams started to get good, it reminded me kind of that LeBron James, kind of that facilitator guy. He didn't necessarily have to depend on scoring a lot, but he was absolutely dominating the game. And from just this edge, man, just his mental edge, it's something that I've wanted to see him do a lot more in his career. And if it takes to Dillon Brooks to give us that type of basketball, it was beautiful to me, man. Any other
Well,
words on that?
but Brian's not gonna let anybody do anything to his legacy, and he's not losing in a first round playoff series to that team, not to that team. He can lose to Golden State, and it'll be fine, but not to that team. And
No.
if they were supposed to be the up and coming team that was going to take the mantle because of their youth and their talent, he just kind of shut all that down and just threw water on all of that. You're not having any type of come up at my expense. Nah, bro, y'all gonna take a little bit more time to put it together. But just for Dillon Brooks to be in that position and to be cast as that villain, I think makes him a no for Troy at the end of the day. That there's one thing if you don't play well in that series and you guys lose, but if you're the villain and you have all of that attention on you, Troy has never really tried to bring in that
Mhm.
type of guy. I mean, if you want to say Josh Jackson is something like that, but he's not nearly on the same level of Dillon Brooks. Josh Jackson was just a high potential player who just didn't get the shot that he needed in Phoenix
Mhm.
and in other stops in his career too.
And he was coming in obviously, purposefully with the intent to be something different than any aspect of the stigma that had followed him up to that point. When Josh Jackson was signed, there was not a lot of noise like negatively surrounding him. He wasn't coming off of something like Dillon Brooks is. And Josh Jackson came here and was immediately helping the community, his home. And he was doing it even before he was signed here. I don't want to be unfair, but he increased it when he got here. I got some understanding of Josh Jackson, and it's a completely like different situation. And I'm glad you mentioned that because sometimes people might bring up certain situations as relates to the players we signed. I can see previous regimes may be taking a flyer on a Dillon Brooks because we used to take those types of flyers on those kind of veteran players that we could get at a low deal. SVG kind of loaded up on those types of guys. Troy Weaver kind of loads up on, like you said, more or less reclamation project. And I don't believe that Dillon Brooks is necessarily a reclamation project, even though there could be some potential pros. He could pan out somewhere else next year. He could kind of find and resurface back to level. I just don't think that that's something that will happen here. But did you see the Ringers new?
The only
huh?
Let me get real quick. I think the only way that happens is if he says we can flip him. We can give him an opportunity to shine in a limited role, and we can flip him for something else, like sign him for 6 or 8, and he becomes some type of value at the trade deadline next year. That would be the only way that I could see it happening. But it's too many minuses. I can't even come up with enough pluses to make it make sense.
Yeah. Yep. If there's anybody that could, it would be Troy. We've seen him do some wild things, but I like that. That is completely fleshed out. I do believe he's a name that you kind of have to talk about. It's a name that is in the media right now. It's a name that is still kind of being bantied about despite his team being bounced. And it's going to be a team. It's going to be a name that you hear about in free agency as well.
For all the wrong reasons, though. All the wrong reasons. Yeah.
Under all circumstances. No. Did you see that? Under any circumstances.
Under any circumstances, bro. What if I want to play for the minimum? Under any circumstances. And again, I think my understanding is that's not what the Grizzlies said, or that wasn't exactly what was said. That was Shams putting some sauce on it. But I mean, whatever, man. That's still what if it was the minimum? No way. No. What if I come off the bench and play 2 minutes? No. Any circumstances. Those are 3 words you do not hear in the NBA ever. Under any circumstances. Yeah.
I love it, man. I saw this Ringers top 125 NBA players list.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't
Via
do it.
at flow_Cade. And you know what? Given the full and total perspective,
don't do it.
I think this is mature Kool-Aid here, okay? If I'm going to read it, I'm trying to be more mature about it, right? That's what I'm trying to do. All right. They had Evan Mobley ranked 40 as the highest of that draft class. Number 40. They said already a high-impact player on both sides of the floor with huge upside and multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards in his future. And they highlighted or bolded already a high-impact player, which I can appreciate. He's showing things. He's played. He's been on the court. Scotty Barnes, number 59. Of the Toronto Raptors, jumbo-sized playmaker, capable of playing a versatile role on both offense and defense, though he's still finding his place in Toronto. Number 67, about 8 spots behind Scotty Barnes, is our Cade Parker Cunningham. Detroit Pistons guard.
67.
Huh?
67.
67 out of 125. Listen here. Former number 1 pick with sky-high potential and no real weaknesses in his game. And they bolded former number 1 pick with sky-high potential. And they bolded, though, Evan Mobley for what? Already showing it. Now, if they didn't preface it that way, I might have an issue. But given the fact that they made a delineation of people that are on the court versus people that aren't, I do believe that Cade Cunningham next year has an opportunity to significantly increase his rankings quite easily. Now, somebody that was not on the list. Would you like to take a guess who?
Boyan.
I actually don't know. But I mean somebody from that draft class. So you got Evan, you got Scotty, you got Cade.
Boyan at 73. Look at that.
So he's 73 on that list?
Yep.
Wow. Boyan?
Hold up. Jalen Green is number 47 and Cade is 67? Wait a minute. Something's not right. Something's not right. Something is clearly not right.
Now that's one. That's crazy.
Wait. This something is not right. Okay, this is another list. Jalen Green is not on the one.
I was about to say, because with the Ringer, I now you got my ears peaked on this other one now.
No. Okay, I was just doing a search, and it takes you to another story, another clip.
So I was about to say that the one that's not on there, and this is why I said I'm gonna take the ringers list as like this kind of full perspective of things.
Wow.
If Jalen Green's not on there and they got Cade Cunningham sitting at about the middle of the list, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not disrespect. I was like, yo, I'm gonna bring this to Rod. I gotta see if my maturity level, at least how I'm seeing this thing, is right. I kind of flinched a little bit with how highly they ranked Evan Mobley. I kind of flinched a little bit with the gap between Scotty Barnes and Cade Cunningham because I believe that there was a drop off from last year to this year for Scotty Barnes. And even though Cade did not play this year, that 20.6 assists, 6 rebounds, that was a median of what people thought was a slow start to that second season for him. And then we know that 3-game stretch before before that kind of clunker, the injury clunker in Boston is what I call it, because it wasn't just like a Cade Cunningham clunker. It was a game before he was shut down. My man was averaging 27, 7, and 6. We haven't seen something like that consistently since, and I don't want to be unfair. I was going to say Grant Hill. I don't want to be unfair to Jerry Stackhouse. Jerry Stackhouse was an absolute bucket getter, and he made a difference on the court with how he attacked the offense. So I don't know, Rod. I was sitting here. I was like, you know what? We keep talking about these chips on their shoulders. We keep talking about the disrespect. These guys keep themselves, the Pistons, at their exit interviews, continue to say what they need to do better. Everybody from Jaden Ivey to Cade Cunningham talking about their defense, talking about what they need to do to be better connected on offense, and talking about what they need to do to play for each other. And they did mention that chip. That was something I was excited to hear about, man. So you got to tell me, man, am I seeing this thing maturely? Does this list even matter? Is Cade overrated or underrated in this list? We need answers, bro.
Let me make a sweeping statement. Lists never matter. Ever. Anytime you see a list, it's get a grain of salt with it. It is nothing. What matters is the analysis of it. And in this, they list Cade's stats. And his strengths are fuel for the game, positional versatility, and ridiculous upside. And I don't even know how many other people have ridiculous upside as their Paolo does, Scotty Barnes does. It's a couple of people like that, of that ilk, who have the ridiculous upside sort of thing. That's their one of their markers. So for Cade, greatness takes time, and right now some patience is required to appreciate everything Cunningham promises to be, especially with a shin injury, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. You at least understand the assignment of if you have to analyze what Cade is that you haven't seen the full picture of it just yet. Further down, he hasn't set the league on fire as a scorer, however. Okay, let's understand what setting the league on fire as a scorer even means. Is it averaging 20 as a rookie? Because that sounds like what Paolo did. And so it seems that it's a moving goalpost situation in this, is that you want to say Cade hasn't done it yet, and you understand why you put it in context with the injury, but then also he hasn't set the world on fire as a scorer. It's been marked, his career has been marked by inefficient shooting. Defenses duck under screens and are okay when he pulls up. No, they're not.
No, no, they conflated two different things there, bro. They do not like going under the screen with Cade.
What defense likes going duck under screens and they're okay when he pulls up? A pull-up midi from Cade is automatic.
Cade, bro, are you kidding me?
Right. That's fine for now. It's only year 2 playing on a team still in the early stages of a full-on rebuild. Once Cade's jumpers fall, which they will, what are you watching? Do we watch the same? Are they watching Richie Cunningham? What Cunningham do we? what? So that's why lists, and I say that's why lists don't matter, because at the end of the day, you kind of have to put all of these people in a thing, and you can't look at it in its fullness, especially if you're doing 125. You kind of look and say, this guy kind of belongs here in this range.
Right.
But once you start comparing people, is Cade better than Miles Turner? Yes. Is Cade, and Miles Turner is 64. Is Cade better than Kristaps? Yes. I would say, is he better than Nick Claxton at 58? Yes, I would say. So this isn't a list that you take as a full ranking and this is gospel for anything else. This list has LaMelo Ball at 48. I really like LaMelo, but this is the same thing that I'm talking about is you have to it's a picture, a portrait of kind of what we're talking about. But if you have a choice to start a team with Cade or with LaMelo, who are you picking? You're picking Cade. Every time. Every time.
So it's like LaMelo is somebody I wouldn't mind having in the backcourt with him. As like that kind of like a different style, but I'm picking Cade first every single time.
In a vacuum, is Bradley Beal number 44? Is he the number 44 ranked player in this league? Bradley freaking Beal. Is he number 44? I can close this window now. It's just like every ranking system you see or every list you see.
Yeah.
I look for something that makes sense to me. And when there's something that doesn't make sense, then I can close it because I know that you just created a list you fudged somewhere because you have an agenda. You have to put somebody in the top 10. Somebody belongs in the top 20. You can't fit everybody in the top 10.
They tried to be respectful with it too, though.
You tried to be respectful.
Greatness awaits. But down here for right now.
Are there 40 people in this league better than Bradley Beal? Come on, man. No, there aren't. So you have to look at stuff in that sort of context.
Man, they got him behind Evan Mobley right now.
Again, same lens. Who's saying it? Why are they saying it? Yep. And does it make sense? It does not make sense that Cade is. I get it. He's been injured. He hasn't been able to show a lot. You at least understand, and they show that they understand what's going on. Yeah. But to say that people are going under screens and they prefer to give him jumpers.
The analysis says you aren't watching, bro. The three-point shot is going to come along, but he's a rhythm shooter. We stated this. He's a guy throughout his career that we've been able to track. He starts the year shooting slow, and then Cade himself in the exit interviews, they were open and honest about this stuff. He stated, the transition from college to NBA, my shot flattened out. We figured some things out, and I'm back to getting that shot up. He did mention, I believe, working with John Beilein as well to get that shot back. And before he was injured during that 3-game stretch, we saw Cade Cunningham shooting quite well. And nobody was trying to duck under any screens last year or this year with Cade Cunningham. You don't do that. Why? Because the type of facilitator he is. You duck under a screen, you're legitimately
cooked.
Yeah, you're cooked. You're leaving so much open. And then what are you going to do? Because the big that's guarding the person who set the screen, like that big, he's going to jump out. And what are you going to do? You're going to jump out. That's a lob every time, just from the basketball of it all. It's like you can't duck under screens with Cade. That's what made him so official, is that when he got to that mid-range, there's always 1 second of space. There's always one because they're trying to get through the pick. He hits that shot every time. That's what makes him special. If you watch the game, I don't care what you think of his three-point shooting. Cade can get to his spots on the floor, and when that kind of whatever Dillon Brooks is on his shoulder that turns on in the third quarter of games, it just turns him into a different animal. I'm hoping he can do that in the beginning of games, but he just seems to be this facilitating connector. He wants to get people involved early on because I think it means better for him later. He knows he can depend on them later in games.
Maybe they were talking about Killian. Maybe that was a Killian paragraph that got moved.
I saw you sitting there, man. I'm like, he got something in mind. Look, before I let you go, can you just wrap up, man, with some kind words about George Blaha? We're going to try and honor him on May 16th at our NBA Draft Lottery show. He gave us some time this year, and he's done a lot throughout his career, one of the longest tenured Pistons employees. And I just want to know what he's meant to you personally, as well as what he's meant to your experience of Pistons basketball.
When you think about Pistons and listening to a game, that's the voice I hear in my head is George Blaha. In the description of what's going on, if you think about play-by-play, it is George Blaha saying high off the glass, Isaiah high off the glass, or Joe D banks at home and the foul, or just everything. That's the voice. And George has been so gracious with his time. And whenever you talk to him, he just oozes that ability and the history You can sit and just and you it's story time with George. He'll tell you a story of something that happened in the 90s or the 80s or everything else. But he is an icon. He is an absolute icon, and everything that that Ernie Harwell meant to the Tigers is in a Piston sense. George has accomplished many of those same things, and it's just he's synonymous with that. For over 40 years, he's been that not only the voice but the face of the broadcasting. And when you think about Pistons and everything else, all of those iconic calls that he has, it's just George is the dude. George is that dude.
It's always good to hear people talk about George Blaha because it fits right in line with the personal experiences. Yeah, I'm going to different people and asking them, and all their experiences sound very similar. And my own was the same. Just I got to speak with him. He just opened up with all the stories. Ultimately, he wanted to make sure people knew that he's thankful for the fans. He said, if they don't accept me, I'm not here this long. He said, it's not about the Pistons hiring me. It's about what these people have thought of me. And he's tried to represent himself for them and his beliefs every single day. So thank you for sharing that, Rod. I appreciate you as always on the show. Guys, I'm going to get Rod Beard drum rolled out of here real quick before we talk about a little bit of Jade and Ivy. Rod, as always, thank you for your time. I'm going to get this drum roll going. Any last words? Are you good to go today?
No, we got it. We got all lathered up about Dillon Brooks, and then you got me lathered up on the ringer, and I wasn't supposed to do that either.
Let's go.
As soon as you say it's a list, I got to tap out because I know what's going to happen there.
Hey, we're about to get a very special Dillon Brooks drum roll going for the legend. Hey, yo, shout out to the legend Detroit News, Rod Beard. Again, brother, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. As always, the platform, it is grateful for you. It is grateful for you. Thank you, bro.
All right, appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Hey, till next time.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, and look, you all might have seen the live stream that I did with Steve yesterday. He is our resident draft and prospect as well as college basketball analyst. He's been doing a lot of good work for a lot of years. He's been collaborating with a lot of different people across just the NBA media landscape as it relates to prospect, analytics, and being able to track them. He's been somebody that we've been able to lean on the last couple years at Woodward Pistons and Woodward Sports as it relates to our draft, our official draft coverage. He's somebody that, as whether he's been right or wrong on certain assessments or whether they have fit kind of right in the window or not, they've kind of been around where we can trust, and more so than a lot of other people. And so I've really appreciated it. And he's been able to come back and be able to update as he continues to track players' growth and be able to update and change his trajectories as well. So I appreciate Steve for that. I wanted to make sure that I commended him on his show that is on the channel as well. It is our Woodward Pistons NBA draft preview show. He has done episode 4. Episode 5 will drop tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So definitely stay tuned for that. But we talked about something special on the show yesterday, and that was Jade and Ivy. We got this new show called Keeping It Real. We're going to go live every Tuesday, sometime between the 1 and 2 o'clock hour. We're going to hold basically on the schedules permitting that we can give you guys that whole hour. All right? But let us know what you want some of these topics to be that you want us to keep it real on. I'm going to be bringing topics and things from the beat. Steve is going to be bringing things from his analytical mindset and the things that he has well studied and versed on, as well as I'm going to be trying to bring more of a basketball perspective. And that's what we did in our Jade and Ivy versus Dwayne Wade comparison. He's had a beef or a bone to pick with me to keep it real as it relates to this comparison in particular. And we broke it down. The areas that I believe Jade Ivy needs to improve on right away, the areas that absolutely disqualify him from this comparison is the defensive side. Dwayne Wade came in right away and was absolutely all world defensively, man. Obviously not perfect, but he was somebody that you could tell this is a strength of his. He came in a little bit more mature, body a little bit bigger and everything. He was a little bit older. And he came in with some chops already ready to go. And that's something that I'm hoping Jade Ivy could take some steps forward in. He talked about that in his exit interviews as well with the media sessions that we were able to attend for at the end of the season. I'm going to be uploading that audio that I've been able to capture to Woodward Sports. In the future, I'm going to be getting video as well to make sure that we have you guys fully covered, fully up to date. I was surprised at how many people were really looking forward to hearing this info. But Jade Ivy talked about it. He said, the defense is a thing about halfway through the season that he realized was costing this team wins. And so from that perspective right there, of being a high basketball IQ guy, being a person who understands how to look at your game and how to better it, regardless of what it may mean or may seem or how it may cut you as a player. I love that. And I know that that has to harken back to the fact that he comes from a family full of athletes, successful athletes. Those people understand how to take criticism. They understand film session. They understand how to get better. They understand how to be coached. They understand how to take criticism from others, even when it doesn't seem like they can. He's a highly emotional player. He's somebody that lets it be seen. And I believe that that's what fuels him. But that doesn't mean that Jaden Ivey is incapable or is not taking, the advice of players, coaches, film review, and things of that nature around him. And he actually went to John Beeline. He's shared this with us in a vulnerable moment during the press conferences at the exit interview media session. And he stated, I realize that my defense is costing us games. Now, we know that his defense alone wasn't costing the team games, but there were moments when he probably could have saved or helped his team get a couple wins based on being even better than he showed to be this year overall as a player. So defensively, he has to take that step. Offensively, though, Steve believed that the mid range, which Dwayne Wade came in, and that was something he had on lock, man. He was hitting it in his footwork. That's another thing I'll put in there. Dwayne Wade's footwork. So that mid range and that footwork, those are things that on the offensive side of things, Dwayne Wade was absolutely elite at. And so if I was going to throw a gauntlet down to Jaden Ivey, I believe he has a skill set. He showed the mid range ability, but I believe he has a skill set as well with that footwork to be a very crafty player. And that's what will help him be able to contain that speed. That's what made Dwayne Wade the Flash. Is not that he was just fast. It was what he could do with that speed. He was always in containment. Dwayne Wade could be a burst of speed down the court and stop on a dime, pump fake you, and then off the backboard, man. He could be cross, 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 hard step, and then he would do that crossover from behind the back, behind the legs, between the legs from the back, and then step back off the backboard, mid-range. Y'all know what I'm talking about, Dwayne Wade. Go look up his highlights, man. Y'all see exactly what I'm talking about. Dwayne Wade was a player that I liked a lot when he was coming out of Marquette. I wish a lot of the start of his career was a little bit different in college, but in NBA, he's really, really helped to reform and refine his image, just as a man and as an individual. But as a player, I do believe Jaden Ivey shows these flashes that you can compare to Dwayne Wade, and that's his effectiveness in 3-level scoring. And I've done these comparisons before. Jaden Ivey actually is a better finisher, he has a higher percentage shooting a three than Dwayne Wade at this point in time. And he's doing it at a higher volume and a higher clip than Dwayne Wade. He's shooting comparably in the mid-range and finishing at the rim. Jaden Ivey is actually a little bit better when you're looking at the advanced stats of it all. And we covered this some time back. I'm gonna go into a deep dive as well, so we can actually look at what Jaden Ivey, the skill sets that he's possessing, where he can actually get to, what should be the goals. What we ultimately concluded was that Jaden Ivey was a player that's going to ultimately carve out a lane. That's Jaden Ivey. All of these players, even all of us, man, who have played any aspect of basketball, whether it be peewees, juniors, high school, middle school, JV, varsity, college, pro-am, rec league, Sunday league, we all have had some semblance, of our games taken from other people. And that's not a knock on anybody. It's the game paying it forward to the next generation, and then them being able to innovate and create on top of that foundation that was laid. I believe Jaden Ivey has the opportunity to do that, but I just believe it is with the skeleton of who Dwayne Wade came in and was. Maybe you look at it like this: a modern day type of player. When I look at Ja Morant, I see some of the similarities, and maybe the aspect of who Ivy is somebody that kind of combines these two types of players into one. Maybe when you look at Ivy and when you look at when you're looking at Wade and when you're looking at Morant, those are kind of the shades of the player that I see. And when you look at the big game ability, what Ivy was starting to show towards the end of the season, that's what really, 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 really got me going. That ability to say, give me the ball. I really, really want this. Whether I'm making it or missing it right now, he's a rookie. He's going to get that. You want to know that the confidence is right up top. We look at a player like Killian Hayes, who the confidence matters to him. We sat here for a whole season, from our coverage to you guys in the comments, to Coach Casey, to Troy Weaver, to the front office, to Killian Hayes himself. Everybody admitting that this confidence is taking this player who we've seen have extremely talented flashes against other good players. Confidence completely shuttering him for huge stretches. We know what he could be, but we don't know what he's going to think. With Jaden Ivey, we have a semblance of what he's going to be, and we know exactly what he's going to think. Greatness, greatness, not just for himself, but for his family and the legacy that he's leaving behind. He wants to know that if anybody else down the line, he just had a child, comes up with their name in this city, has an opportunity to represent and put their names and their jerseys there. And look, think about all the jerseys that were handed to Jay and Ivy. He wants that. He wants to be able to represent that as well. He wants to. So I like that, man. Look, we're gonna get into a season breakdown and season review of all of these Pistons players of consequence, and really talk about what these guys need to do to get better next year. What these guys need, what they did do during the season to get better, and ultimately, what players we believe are going to and should stick around and what role they should play. So we're gonna get into it all. We got some new shows as well before I wrap up this part of our Woodward Pistons podcast. I also need you guys to tap in to Jeff and Gentry, man. Two guys who at the base of what we're Pistons, they were definitely supporting. I'm proud of Jeff and everything that he's doing as Mr. Everything. He's all over the place right now, and he's keeping it 100. He's keeping himself well studied and well versed. He's bringing great content, but I'm really proud of Gentry as well. We haven't gotten a lot of time to really do content and interact as much since our jobs as it relates to beat reporting has gone into play. Obviously, Red Wings and Pistons season is doing the same time. But I look forward to this summer. So we got a lot of new content that's going to be hitting the channel. Steve has kind of been some of the first of that. But Sean Murphy and myself, we got something special planned for you guys called Kool-Aid and the Murph. At least one special episode a week, and then multiple content drops during the week as well. We got some fun stuff coming your way. We're going to keep it a secret, though. We're going to be out live and on location as well with some stuff with my man Jalen. Jalen is he's a hooper. He's a camera extraordinaire, man. I'm excited to have him on the squad. He was sending me some stuff yesterday as well out at the gym, and we got some stuff planned for y'all. Look at my man. Look at my man. Let me play that. Let's look at Jalen again. We're about to get it in. I'm telling y'all, man. These Woodward Pistons leagues is about to go into effect. Woodward Pistons Hero Ball League is going to be a thing. It's going to be dope. And I can't wait. We're going to be streaming from there. We're going to be having some of our podcasts from there and everything. It's going to be a live event. But listen, I need you guys to tap in. May 16th, we got the NBA Draft Lottery Show. It's going to be starting at 7:30. We got some special things planned for the fans. Let me think what else for this address. That's right. I need you guys to keep it real and keep it 100 for me, okay? Since Cade Cunningham has gotten here, he and his family, that includes Ashton Bennings, a.k.a. Ashton the trainer, and Cannon Cunningham, man, his brother. These guys have put on for not just the city of Detroit, but the whole state of Michigan, okay? And they're starting to do other things to be able to bring more culture to what Detroit basketball in this city kind of represents, okay? They got this 3-on-3 tournament brought to you by Rank Management, and I can't wait. May 20th, I want to see you guys out there. I'm not going to be playing, due to biblical and religious observations. I refrain from certain activities, on the seventh day of the week, every Saturday, just based on my biblical beliefs, man, from creation week. But I will be there to support. I want to be friends. I want to be family. I want to be bros. I want to be able to meet everybody, man, and be able to just have a good time. Honestly, just have a good time. I want to be able to support these guys. They've come out and they've done a lot for this area. They've done a lot for content creators. They've done a lot to anybody who needs a retweet, anybody who needs a like, anybody who needs something. They've done a whole lot, man, a whole lot here. And I want to be able to highlight this before we get off, man. They've done a lot of work up in Flint, Michigan as well. They continue to go to that area and they keep this stuff a secret. I've tried to cover it. I've even asked them for quotes, and every now and then they'll give me some quotes. This is just what they want to do. They want to make an impact here. They've done a lot of donations in the city. Cade Cunningham, as the face of it with the coat drives and such. And he's done things as well back at Dallas, Fort Worth for his hometown there. And so they're looking to make connections with people. They're looking to meet everybody. And personally, our Woodward Pistons team is looking to meet y'all. We're going to be out there live. Sean Murphy, Jeff Freddie, myself, Jalen. We're going to try and have some of the Table Talk crew out there as well. It's going to be some Pistons players. $4,000 cash prize. Come on, what are y'all talking about? And 4 signed Cade Cunningham jerseys to the winning team. So look, y'all, I'm grateful to everybody who's made it to this point. I need y'all to put in the comments what you think of Dillon Brooks. Truly. I need you guys to put in the comments what you think of Cade Cunningham. I need you to put in the comments what you think of George Blah. What has he meant to you as it relates to Pistons basketball? Listen, for the Woodward Pistons platform and for Woodward Pistons podcast, my name is Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid. Shout out to Woodward Sports Network, man. Tap into everything they got going on. Shout out to Jeff High Freddy, Mr. Everything, and shout out to the whole team. I'm glad you guys are here. Grateful that you're here. Please hit the like button and subscribe. Until next time, y'all. Hey, you know what? We do the Dillon Brooks of it all. We can't just leave without it, right? Hey. Hey.